Hey everybody, it's Angel Shannon. I am live. It is Monday, January 23rd, 2023. Can you believe that we have just this last week? Just this last week left. We've got a couple of days next week, right? Can you believe how fast this first month of 2023 has gone? I really can't believe it. I am joining you live today during my lunch hour because I want to share with you exactly why I am teaching one of my favorite subjects this coming Wednesday. Those of you who know me from my clinical practice, I am Angel Shannon, founder and executive director of Siva Health and the Siva Institute, where we put mindfulness and compassion in action to help you live longer and live better, to help you change your life, not just your symptoms. Last year, I started doing something that I really love so much, and that is vision boards, right? So I'd been doing vision boards for a long time before that, but I started teaching vision boards. And why I did that is because I really love helping people manifest change in their lives. And I don't know any more powerful tool to really manifest change in your life than creativity. I'm a big believer in creativity and play and activating the right brain and the left brain to help people really get a powerful visual picture of what they want in their lives. I started doing vision board parties with my friend and co-community host Valissa Pierre Lewis, who I talk about a lot on my feeds in LinkedIn and here on Facebook. She is a career and leadership coach, success coach. And we started doing these vision board parties because Valissa is also a moderator in the Siva Circle, which is where women come together to work on their big lifestyle redesign, right? And so we started doing these parties together. And in my mind, there was just this explosion of like creativity and how to make these vision boards come alive. But as a clinical provider, I started researching the neuroscience behind vision boards. Like what really happens in your brain when you are being creative, creating a vision board and a roadmap for what you really want in your life. So as a nurse practitioner, as a scientist, I am intrigued by the science of things, right? So I started doing that kind of research, weaving that into my vision board workshops, my teaching, and now the course that I have in the Siva Circle. And I started weaving that science in, and then it led me down a further path to start thinking about why is it that people create vision boards but they don't really ever achieve those goals, right? It's all these kinds of like big designs and things that they want to achieve and have in their life. But what is the one missing link? What is the missing link? Well, what I realized through my clinical practice and my coaching is that the missing link for most vision boards, and I would say, most as in 90% or greater, is action. How do you move from vision to victory in your life with that vision board? So that's the part that I teach with vision boards. But now how I have expanded that concept is my course that's coming up, my masterclass that's coming up on Wednesday. This coming Wednesday, January 25th at 12 noon Eastern Time, 9 a.m. Pacific, 5 p.m. in the UK, because many of you tune into my work. Many of you who are in the UK are tuning into my work, my podcasts and things like this. I am teaching 21 questions for extraordinary goal setting. 21 questions for extraordinary goal setting. And I want to explain to you why I am teaching this week. But to explain that, rather than give you a long list of the reasons and what have you, I want to make it short and simple using a story from my own life. I was talking to my gynecologist a little while ago, And we were talking about like big life goals and her desire to move out of the country. She's ready to, she's in a transition in her life. She's ready to make that step towards not really retirement, but owning, having more time in the country that she really loves and she envisions retiring in. And she owns a home in this country. It happens to be Italy, northern Italy. And she's been going back and forth, periodically, but not really regularly because she doesn't have enough time. She runs a busy clinical practice. She's a healthcare provider. She's still delivering babies. And so that leaves so little time for her to really think about what she wants in her life. And that's what she was sharing with me is that, my God, if I just had enough time and to think about what I want and map that out and define that, I think I would have a strategy for moving forward. And I know this is true for so many women in this stage of life, this stage that I know I am in, who are transitioning from all of the mom stuff, all of the, workaday stuff, all of the busyness. They're starting to make a transition. They're not ready to retire just yet. At least I know I'm not ready to retire just yet. But it's all about making this transition smoother, right? What's also happening during this time of transition for many of us ladies is we're transitioning in our bodies as well, right? So there are hormone imbalances, there's sleepless nights, there's, all kinds of other things that go on that interfere with our ability to just be still and have that time to really think through our life plan. There's even some, I'll raise my hand, brain fog, due to just these transitions that we're going through with our hormones and whatnot, where you have this brilliant idea and then boom, it's gone out of your mind. So we need these spaces, we need the time, we need the resources to start asking ourselves the really important questions that help us get action, that move us toward action, that move us towards clarity, that move us toward understanding the why beneath the why. That questions that drive innovation and creativity and prototyping to become the designers in our lives. Designers ask important questions. Architects, they ask important questions. And they know that it's those questions that will drive solutions, more questions that move them closer to, accelerating on what it is that they're trying to build or design. It's not the asking of questions, it's asking the right questions. So I came up with this teaching because I wanted to help the ladies that I work with, my treasured population of people that I work with who are in this stage of life. Some call it midlife. There's a lot of connotations around midlife, but it is midlife because technically we are probably at the middle of an average life cycle. But there's so much richness. There's such an opportunity to really dig down and unearth a different side of ourselves that is trying to emerge. And so that's the population of women that I serve and work with and who are members in the SIVA Circle. And we work on life design together in all 8 important areas of our life. So like physical health, spiritual health, relationships, career, our home environments, our finances. We work on all of that. And, because those are big questions for where we are in our lives, right? And so I want to share a story that extends on what I was just talking about that I shared with my gynecologist. I'll never forget when I was thinking about making a career change. I was moving out of the hospital and thinking about launching, going back to graduate school to become a nurse practitioner. And at the time, my vision was, gosh, I would love to own my own clinic. I'd love to be, a specialist in integrative health and lifestyle medicine. I am an herbalist, so everything for me is about environment and plant-based and living in harmony with the environment. My mother's an herbalist. My grandmother was an herbalist or lay herbalist. So I come from a long line of women who really do trust and honor and believe in the goodness of the earth for natural health and healing. And and my dream was to marry that with clinical practice, allopathic medicine. And at the time, it was just a dream because here in the state of Maryland, where I live, I'm getting a message here. Let's see. Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, I'm not going to worry about that. Here in the state of Maryland, where I live, it was not nurse practitioners were not able to own their own independent practices. So I started asking some friends that I worked with, like, gosh, do you think that I should go back to graduate school? Do you think I should pursue a degree, become a nurse practitioner? And these were friends that I worked with that I absolutely loved. We pulled 12-hour shifts together, 16-hour shifts together. We were on it together, right? And so I asked around, and every person that I asked, the answer was absolutely not. I wouldn't do that because, and they listed a long list of reasons, things like, the amount of clinical time you'd have to do, the amount of, college loans I'd have to take out for graduate school, the kinds of doctors that I'd likely work with that would work me to the bone and all this kind of thing. And they scared the life out of me with all of these stories of people that they knew and who knew them and all this kind of thing. Well, I'll tell you, I took their advice and I started down a whole nother path, pursuing something else, taking courses in something else, until that path came full circle. And I realized that, you know what, this is my life call and this is what I need to do. And this is the direction that I'm going to go in. How that transition happened is not because I was just so brilliant and I had this aha moment, but I went to a meeting. I went to a meeting of other nurse practitioners, and a friend of mine had a friend who was a nurse practitioner. And so I went to this meeting and I talked to this friend of a friend about her life as a nurse practitioner, what she loved about the work she was doing, why she wanted to do it, all these kinds of questions. And that's where my aha moment came in. I stopped asking the question, should I? Because that is always a question that will lead to more emotion and less action. And I started asking specific questions about the role of nurse practitioners, the legalities of nurse practitioners, specifics about the income, the path towards owning your own practice, what opportunities there would be if I became a nurse practitioner. I started asking the right questions. Not only that, I was asking the right questions to the right people in the right space at the right time. So I wasn't asking, by the way, and I wasn't, hey, can I pick your, ear, your brain about something? I was specifically in the environment where I was likely to get reasonable answers, logical answers, informed answers from the people who had the knowledge that I needed to make a decision. I was also asking questions about myself. And one of those questions that I asked, that I'm going to take a deep dive into on Wednesday, and I want you to write this down. Who do I need to become in order to achieve that goal? Who do I need to become in order to achieve that goal? That is a very, very powerful question. And if you join me on Wednesday, January 25th at 12 noon Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific, 5 p.m. in the UK, I am going to share with you why that is a very powerful question, how you can apply that to your goals this year to supercharge your results. Because isn't it time to start getting results in your life? Isn't it time to move from vision to victory? Isn't it time to move from just doing a vision board to actually having questions that are going to spark innovation, creativity, ideas, and most importantly, action? Isn't it time to have action and clarity and forward momentum on your goals? You're going to see a lot of workshops around town, vision board workshops all over. And they are wonderful. They're being taught by some really fantastic teachers. But the next step beyond your vision board is having a plan for action. And there's no point taking action if you don't have clarity about your direction, about clarity about your why, clarity about your how, clarity about your when. I want you to start learning how to think like a designer. They're very beautiful people. I want you to start thinking like a scientist. They are very beautiful people. I want you to start thinking like a mathematician who uses a formula and can take that formula and lay it over and over and over again to your process and your life design. Because this is all about you. This is about the life that you want to design for yourself, whether it's losing weight, retiring, getting a raise, having a healthier lifestyle, whatever it is, whatever your goal is. This is about having a process to move you from vision to victory in every area of your life. I want to drop that in your consciousness. I want to call that up and make that alive for you this year. It's a great time to do that. It's January. It's the beginning of a year. We just had Lunar New Year. So there are lots of New Years arising. We're in the middle of winter here in the Northern Hemisphere. It's a great time to go within and really ask yourself powerful, insightful questions that drive innovation, creativity, action, direction, purpose, momentum. It's time to start getting real results in your life. Wouldn't you agree? The other thing is, lots of people talk about burnout. Oh, I'm too burnt out. I'm too tired to think about my goals. Guess what? That's still a decision. And no one's saying that you have to, jump into action right away. No one's saying that you have to fight against the fatigue that's coming up. But maybe, just maybe, you're so fatigued because your mind is on this mental track all day long. Like my gynecologist said, my mind is just on this mental track, all day long. And I'm just spinning through the same questions over and over and over. That's because without a process, that's what happens. Without beautiful questions that spark inner thought, inner analysis, without sparking that fire to light the way of your inner landscape, that's what happens. You wind up on the outside, on the hamster wheel, going around and around and around and around and around. And that process, my friends, is what creates more mental fatigue and more burnout. So it's time to step off the hamster wheel and start moving forward to drive your way towards real results. Okay? So I'm going to leave it there. I'm going to drop the link once again in the comments to this video. You can also look at my timeline and see the link. It's 21 questions for extraordinary goal setting. 21 questions for extraordinary goal setting. It's at 9 a.m. Pacific time, 12 noon Eastern, 5 p.m. UK. Registration is required. And here's what I want to tell you. It's $5. $5. When I asked that question earlier, who do I need to become in order to achieve this goal? One of the answers to that question for me was, I have to become a person who's willing to invest in my development, my personal development. I can't look for free this, free that, free this, free that. Not to say that free offers are not worthwhile, but there's something about a mindset that says, I am willing to invest in myself. Whether it's $5 or $500, I want this goal so much that I am going to become a person who does not make excuses, a person who takes action, and a person who is willing to invest in herself to become her very best self. So it's $5 because I want to see, are you willing to invest in yourself? Are you willing to show up for something that you paid for? There's a big difference between that willingness and the unwillingness to say, no, I don't want that. No, that's too much money. Or no, I can't lose my lunch hour, at that, on that day because I just want to, eat in my car. That's a different mindset than a mindset that says, I am going to become the person who not only takes the step, but also makes the investment in myself, no matter what that investment is. That's how determined I am to achieve this goal. Okay? Think about that today. The link is going to be down in the comments. You can also find it on my timeline. It's bit.ly/21 questions for extraordinary goal setting. That link is in the comments. I've enjoyed spending this brief time with you, this lunch hour of mine. I'm going to get back to my clinical practice. I've got some work this afternoon, but I'm wishing you a beautiful Monday and a wonderful, wonderful remainder of your week ahead. Be well, be good to yourself, and as I always say, never, ever, ever, ever be afraid to be amazing. Take good care. Bye-bye.